I'm Kristen Oates-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. And this week, it's a special edition of Twila, as we're at the American Farm Bureau Federation's Centennial Convention in New Orleans. As you would expect, Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson was proud for the Bayou State to host nearly 6,000 farmers and ranchers from across the country. 100 years ago, farmers and ranchers gathered in Chicago, Illinois to start what would become the nation's largest organization dedicated to representing agriculture. I think it's safe to say, Kristen, that they would not have imagined that it had been like this a century later.
I don't think so, and I don't see how they could have, because look at all of the things that didn't exist in 1919 that we cover today. Outreach efforts like Ag in the Classroom and all of Farm Bureau's member benefits, workshops on drone technology and genetics, and lobbying on Capitol Hill that just helped oversee the 2018 Farm Bill last month.
Speaking of power on Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C., for the second year in a row, the President of the United States, Donald John Trump, addressed the General Assembly of the American Farm Bureau Federation.
During his speech, President Trump lauded praise on America's farmers and ranchers, as well as political luminaries from Louisiana that support agriculture. Citing his love for hardworking farmers, Trump promised to continue efforts to expand ag trade overseas, to eliminate burdensome regulations, and continued tax cuts. When President Trump gave his speech, the government was still shut down. While the president was speaking, the government shutdown continued over the issue of a border wall with Mexico. Trump advocated for the wall, but also promised to expand migrant labor into the United States for agricultural use. Trump touted his administration's executive and legislative accomplishments as beneficial for both agriculture and the United States, especially with the recent signing of the 2018 Farm Bill.
The Farm Bill delivers for our farmers on a wide range of key priorities. On critical farm programs such as crop insurance, you will have the support you need to plan for the future. It increases the amount farmers can borrow so you can expand and improve your businesses.
To view the full speech, head on over to our website at twilatv.org. Now, President Donald Trump's appearance was one of the highlights of the convention. Farmers and ranchers were anxious to hear from him after what has been a tough year with the China trade tariffs directly affecting farmers.
Twila's Tammy Arender was there when President Trump gave his speech and shares with us what farmers across Louisiana thought about what he said.
Oh, say can you see
James Linden Hogg of Baton Rouge, the Louisiana Fiddle Grand Champion, sings the national anthem just before President Donald Trump is brought onto the stage, a rare opportunity for an 18-year-old.
The president is just like an American, just like anyone else, and so but yes, I will say I practice a lot more.
The crowd of nearly 9,000 farmers, ranchers, and foresters anxious to hear what their commander-in-chief has to say, specifically as it pertains to the trade war with China and the partial government shutdown.
We've eliminated a record number of job-killing regulations, and the farmers got hit probably as hard as anybody. We're reversing harmful federal intrusion. And to keep family farms in the family, we have virtually eliminated the estate tax, also known as the death tax.
For the Garrett Marsh family of Madison Parish, they believe Trump is all about making tough decisions now that will create a brighter future for their kids.
He's doing his job. It's just going to take a while. We got to be patient.
There's so many things that he has done, and I do think that that a greater harvest is yet to come.
The shutdown of the USDA is also impacting farmers as they try to plan for this crop season without valuable data normally released this time of year. But Ryan Yerby, a farmer in Grant Parish, says despite the hardship now, you've got to look at the bigger picture.
But it all goes to the greater good. There is a bigger plan, and like President Trump said, the farmers are on the forefront. We support him, and we're going to back him because it's kind of what we have to do.
Well, as you heard from the farmers I spoke with after this speech, they may not have heard that these issues were resolved, but they think Trump is a friend to agriculture and that in the long run, his strong policy on trade and a secure border will be a positive for them and the country.
Tammy, I know that all three of us were in there while President Trump was giving his speech. He really knew how to work that room. I was really impressed with the way he was able to play off of the people in the crowd, referencing Senator Bill Cassidy, referencing the congressmen who were there, Ralph Abraham and Garrett Graves and Steve Scalise, of course, speaking at length about Steve Scalise.
Definitely. He had done his homework before he came here about Louisiana and about what was going on in that room. My biggest takeaway from him, since I had never heard a speech from start to finish, was just how personable he was, what a quick wit he had. And like you mentioned, when things are not taken out of context and put into a soundbite, it was just enlightening to be able to hear him for what he spoke probably for 45 minutes, you know, and I never lost interest. And so no matter what your feelings are on him and on his policy, it was still fascinating to watch him interact with these people.
He had some pretty good laughs too. Prairie holes.
Yes.
The prairie holes was great.
Whatever that is.
I'm telling you, there was a quick wit there. I mean, we hear the kind of the biting wit that he has, but he was really funny.
Well, Tammy Arnder, thank you for coming out and spending some time with us in New Orleans.
Enjoyed it immensely.
Well, formed on November 12, 1919 in Chicago, Illinois, the American Farm Bureau Federation continues to be the voice of agriculture. In those days, only 34 states were members of the new federation.
100 years later, every state in the country and the territory of Puerto Rico are part of the American Farm Bureau. The technology and people may have changed, but many of the issues facing farmers and ranchers are the same. A good television news story should start with the most important video, at least according to my college professors. For the American Farm Bureau's centennial celebration, you're looking at what's most important, the grassroots membership. It's where Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson got his start.
It makes us proud that they selected New Orleans.
Anderson knows well there were other cities vying for the celebration.
New Orleans is known as a party town, and we're celebrating this year 100 years of serving our farmers and members, providing a united voice for them.
But the key thing for us is the river. And that's one thing I would like all of these people to realize, how much commerce comes down the river.
60% of U.S. grain exports come down the Mississippi River, and trade is just one issue the American Farm Bureau has addressed over the last 100 years.
It's interesting to see that a lot of the issues that our farmers faced in 1919 are very similar or the same issues that we've faced today.
I think the future is really bright. I think the need for American Farm Bureau is not any less. It's probably greater than it's been in the last 10 years with all the technical things that we have to deal with.
Now, there are several other farm bureaus celebrating their centennials this year, including our friends in Kentucky, Indiana. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, though, we're going to celebrate in 2022.
Nice even number.
It is. It's a nice even number. We're going to have lots of people here. As President Donald John Trump would say, it's going to be huge.
Well, we've had some hopeful developments in agriculture. Recently, 2018 was still a tough year for many farmers in Louisiana. Some have elected not to return to farming next year. It was so tough.
Twila's Neil Malasaw brings us the story of one rice farmer who won't be returning to the fields this year and worries there will be more like him.
When Hurricane Harvey dumped rain across southwest Louisiana, rice farmer Kevin Birkin had his lands inundated. It wasn't just the rain that had him worried, it was the years of bad prices and unfavorable weather.
This is the third year in a row of below average rice yields, third year in a row of being difficult for us in the rice industry.
2 years later, these are Kevin Birkin's empty fields. He's out of farming completely, and in addition to his rice, the 300 acres of beans he had went underwater as well, like most farms in Jeff Davis Parish back in September.
And I've got neighbors who are stalwarts of third, fourth, fifth generation farmers that are no longer going to farm simply because there's no money in it. I've actually had one neighbor tell me that, well, I'm not making any money, but I'm not losing a whole bunch. And I got to thinking, that's not the way where it's supposed to be.
It's a situation Kyle McCann says isn't working well for rice farmers as a whole.
Currently, rice prices are still marginal at best. With our high cost of production and the returns that they're getting from the marketplace. It's not sufficient in and of itself to keep a lot of rice farms in business.
Those dire economics were certainly a topic at the American Farm Bureau convention. Louisiana President Ronnie Anderson says with a government shutdown still in effect, we may lose farmers who can't get funding for the next crop.
We're losing rice farmers, we're losing bean farmers, and if this USDA thing with the government closed, I'm not sure how financing is going to work over the next month to 6 weeks if things don't open up pretty fast.
Back in Jeff Davis Parish, there are signs of hope. Kevin has plans to bring his farming experience to the Capitol in Baton Rouge as a state senator, with the plight of the farmer at the top of his agenda. He's met with a farmer who's agreed to farm the land here, so it will be in production for next year and hopefully for years to come. For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Neil Malasa.
Kevin Burkin made the official announcement on January 24th that he is going to run for the state Senate seat for Southwest Louisiana, and obviously with the possibility of the farmers getting out of the business, we're going to continue to follow this story.
Absolutely.
During the Centennial celebration, Farm Bureau women also took the time to give back in a big way.
A very big way. Farm Bureau leaders from across the country donated food, funds, and books to the Ronald McDonald House charities in Louisiana. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee teamed up with the American Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee to stuff more than 300 bags. The items were for the families staying in the Ronald McDonald houses in Monroe and New Orleans.
I'm a mom and I'm a grandma. And one of the most difficult things any of us could ever face is a child to be ill, and especially to have some kind of critical illness that Ronald McDonald House Charities deals with. So it gives me a sense of gratification to know that at that time that's the most needy time in your life, the time when you feel most vulnerable, there are people that are walking alongside you. And who better to do that than America's farmers and ranchers, to step up and step up beside you. And that's what this was all about. It was to give. And we just want to continue to do that as we celebrate this wonderful charity and what they do to help families in America in need.
Farm Bureau also made a monetary contribution of $5,000 to Ronald McDonald Charities of Louisiana.
When we come back, we'll head over to a New Orleans institution. You would say one that has a commanding presence in the world of Creole cuisine.
No, I haven't eaten today and you're making me hungry just saying that, so stay with us.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito right here.
I got a fish, I got a fish.
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf, it begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
I think it's time to eat. Do you have any suggestions, Avery?
Well, I think that our friend Twila's Jennifer Finley has one. She's going to take us to Commander's Palace in our new monthly feature, Field to Feast, where we gather ingredients from all across the state and cook up all the delicious bounty Louisiana has to offer.
Welcome to Field to Feast, where we focus on Louisiana local ingredients. Today we're at the world-famous Commander's Palace here in New Orleans during National Farm Bureau Convention. We're here to film my good friend, Executive Chef Tori McPhail. On the menu today is Louisiana crawfish and rice. So come on in and let's get cooking.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Hey Tori, what's going on?
Hi Jen, how are you? Welcome back to the Commander's Kitchen.
Thank you very much. What are we going to be doing today?
I've got a couple dishes for you. They're going to focus on Louisiana crawfish and great rice. And one of the first dishes we want to do, it's a simple dish, but it's a Louisiana crawfish cake. So we've got some crawfish tails here. And this is actually a pretty easy dish that I think everybody can definitely do at home. So it's crawfish, fresh corn, and one of the things I love is actually the corn out of a crawfish boil. So it's already got that salt, it's already got that good Louisiana spice. You take it off the cob, fold it back on top of the crawfish, and what's gonna stick it together is Ravagot sauce. Okay, you can make Ravagot sauce at home, and really you wanna start with mayonnaise, a little horseradish, lemon, and Creole mustard. So fresh tarragon, a little bit of fresh basil, okay? And we are in Louisiana, okay? So we're just gonna shake on a little bit of Creole seasoning here. Okay.
That is so delicious looking.
It looks great, right? And it's super easy. I'm a big fan of just inviting people right into the kitchen, pouring them a glass of wine, get them a cocktail, and have everybody else join in the fun in the kitchen.
Where's my wine?
Well, let's work it out. We can take this on a picnic, right? You can take it to the side of the bayou. You can have this as an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre, on a little bit of a chip. There's a lot of purposes here. Again, it's all great Louisiana flavor, and it's super easy to do. We get that spice of that great Louisiana crawfish. That is really, really good. So the next thing we want to do is just patty them up. Just using the back of your spoon. Okay, you don't want to push out the rest of the mayonnaise or the Ravagot mixture, but just enough to when it starts to steam, the whole thing sticks together. Fresh Louisiana seafood is where it's at. So our pan's kind of about medium heat, so this should take maybe 3 or 4 minutes on each side, but these look good. You're starting to bubble up around the outside. You know those crawfish are cooking. That's exactly what we want to see. Authentic feeling of great Louisiana has got to stop and start with amazing crawfish when they're in season. Crawfish cakes coming out of the pan. But these are all the great classic flavors of Louisiana that we do here at Commander's Palace. So the next dish we have is a great Tuesday night dish. This is Louisiana crawfish and andouille meatballs. We're gonna do this with a ham hock red gravy, and then at the very end, we're just gonna ladle that over Louisiana popcorn rice. Super fun, but definitely a little Italian version of our great Louisiana food.
Sounds delicious, sounds home style.
It's definitely a home style. This is an easy dish, and certainly one I like to do around my house on a Tuesday evening. And you can do it any day of the week for you.
Yeah, Wednesday okay?
Wednesday would be perfectly fine, I can promise. So a little bit of butter goes in, into this some garlic. Okay, you can kind of tell in the pan our garlic is starting to caramelize.
It smells unbelievable. So this is the gravy we're making.
This is it. This is Louisiana red gravy. At the end, we're going to add in some fresh crawfish tails and also so our Louisiana crawfish and andouille meatballs. So next, we're going to add in our fresh onions. So of our Louisiana food, we love the Holy Trinity. And we use that as the base of turtle soup, gumbo, sauce etouffee. But instead of red, green bell peppers, we're going to use a little poblano here. Okay, it's going to add a little bit more spice, and I just love the color of these green chilies.
It's starting to look a little bit like Friday night now.
A little bit. It's Friday night, it's Tuesday night. It's just Louisiana crawfish, right? It goes great on any night.
Fresh, local ingredients.
Yeah, that's right. At this point, we're going to add in some fresh tomatoes. We're also going to add in 1 ham hock. This is just some vegetable stock. All right, friends, our red gravy's in the pot. With our ham hock, we're going to push that to the back of the stove. We're going to leave it for a little while. But in the time being, we're going to make our crawfish and andouille meatballs. This is an easy recipe. It's 3 parts. So fresh cooked crawfish, also some ground pork, okay, and also some andouille sausage. We're going to add a little bit of Creole seasoning to it.
Crawfish looks beautiful in there.
Gorgeous. A little salt, a little black pepper, but you can use any kind of seasoning blend you want. We're going to add in 1 egg. And we're also going to add breadcrumb, but in French cooking would be the panada. Now the cool thing about recipes like this, you can times everything by 5, have a little bit of a crawfish and andouille meatball party in your kitchen. But one of the tricks you can do at home is you freeze everything on a little cookie sheet. And once they're ice cold, then you can collect them again, put them in a Ziploc bag, and they pack up a little nicer in your freezer. That way, on the next Tuesday night, you can pull out however many you need, let them thaw, put them right back into your red gravy, and that makes cooking in your kitchen a snap. You can have great Louisiana flavor on the fly. Gently fold these into our Louisiana red sauce. I'm going to push this to the back of the stove. And now we're going to start our Louisiana long grain popcorn rice. And here we are, friends, our final product. Louisiana crawfish and andouille meatballs over ham hock red gravy and that delicious Louisiana long grain popcorn rice. We're going to take this out to the dining room right here at Commander's Palace and give it to our buddy, farmer Richard Fontenot, and find out what he has to say about our cooking.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
A Valentine's night you won't forget. Experience the wonderment of James Linden Hogg. February 14th, Manship Theater.
It would just hold, keep on.
James Linden Hogg, live. Reserve seats now, manshiptheater.org. Come fall in love all over again.
Her now.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program. And you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
Whiskey here, okay?
We're back from the kitchen at Commander's Palace, and we are going to serve up our 2 dishes for Richard Fontenot, our crawfish and rice farmer. We're hoping that you like the dishes that we prepared.
It's really special to be able to be a producer from Louisiana that grows crawfish and rice and have the opportunity to be with this esteemed gentleman and prepared for me this morning and have this opportunity. I do thank you.
So this is it's a simple dish, but we love this dish here at Commander's Palace. This is a Louisiana crawfish cake. We're going to present ours with a fresh corn and black-eyed pea hash and a little bit of corn and whiskey vinaigrette around the outside.
This is delicious.
Good stuff?
It's delicious, Tori. You said that you make a lot of crawfish at home.
We do ceremonial boils with neighbors and things of that nature on a regular occurrence, and that's kind of the social gathering mecca, and that's kind of the hub, and it's an excuse to have a gathering.
A lot of this was straight from the boil itself, which makes it very interesting. So the crawfish and the corn came out of the boil, and then
that's what I'm tasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
You boiled it, then you peeled it, and that makes some of the best dishes.
We peeled all of our crawfish yesterday just to be able to make this dish. So fresh corn, a little bit of black-eyed peas for the earthiness, and also a good amount of like citrus and vinegar. So it kind of has top-end acidity and that beautiful earthiness along the way to tie that good Louisiana crawfish flavor together.
This is fantastic.
So thank you for everything you do. It's all up to you. Thank you.
Living off the Louisiana land.
So this next dish, this really is good home cooking. This is Louisiana crawfish and andouille meatballs. We simmer ours in a little ham hock red gravy and spoon it right on top of the rice that you grow right on the farm. So
exciting.
We're taking over Taco Tuesday night, making it crawfish and rice night.
Crawfish and rice, any meal, anytime.
It's nice to walk through the stores of our local grocery stores and say, you know what, all that's made here, all that's made here. And I think that's one of the reasons that Louisiana food has become famous all across the world, is that people want to come here, they want to listen to great music. If you want to have that good, authentic Louisiana flavor, and you just can't get this anywhere else.
It's really nice to sit down with someone. If I can produce it, he can cook it, and what it tastes like, and where does it go. You know, that's really special, that's really unique. Me as a producer, I'm proud of what I produce, and I'm proud to share it.
Yeah.
And you can make it even that much better once you put your hands on it.
Well, Richard, thank you so much, and Tori, thank you so much. We had a great day here on Field to Feast. If you'd like the recipes that you've seen today, please visit us at twilatv.org. We look forward to seeing you next time as we go profile more local Louisiana ingredients. Cheers, friends.
Cheers.
Perfect with the meatballs.
Oh my goodness.
It is.
That's the one, huh?
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, Ask Before You Eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Field to Feast will air monthly on Twila, and you can find all of these recipes featuring local Louisiana ingredients on our website at twilatv.org.
And I guarantee you that'll be a big boom of flavor in your house, kind of like the big booms we're getting from all the balloons going off over here.
Well, New Orleans is known as the Big Easy, and that's certainly true when it comes to finding good food and good times.
For Louisiana Farm Bureau members, the fun started on the 41st floor of the Marriott on Canal Street with a reception where the whole family joined together to catch up with old friends, share a meal, and meet some new friends as well. At the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center, members attended the main sessions to hear from speakers such as AFBF President Zippy Duvall, Senator Pat Roberts, and as we discussed earlier in the show, President Donald Trump and Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue.
Attendees also had plenty of breakout workshops to attend. These sessions feature topics ranging from member engagement to public policy and advocacy to technology. Young farmers and ranchers, Adam and Megan Calhern, and Parish Presidents Mitch Marcellus and Lloyd Dotson attended a session about getting the next generation involved in the Farm Bureau at the grassroots level.
The Idea Ag Trade Show, where we are right now, is always a hit for thousands of members who visit the convention every year. There was even some Louisiana talent that made its way onto the big stage in the trade show from the Aucoin family band. The Aucoin brothers won the 2018 Louisiana Farm Bureau Youth Talent Show at last year's Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention.
And there was something else happening in New Orleans at the same time as the American Farm Bureau Convention. The New Orleans Saints hosted the Philadelphia Eagles at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in a great game, at least in the eyes of all of us Saints fans across the city, watching from hotel lobbies and restaurants and parties, and everybody was saying, "Who dat?"
Who dat? Well, I tell you what, a lot of people were saying who dat singing the national anthem at the beginning of all the sessions, and that was James Lyndon Hogg, son of Jim Hogg, who got to actually perform before the president took the stage.
And you could see it on his face. He was beaming it. So before we go, we must thank some of the people that helped make this show possible. First, we want to thank Tammy Arender and Jennifer Finley for their coverage this weekend.
We'd also like to thank the American Farm Bureau staff for their support in providing us access to the many guests we featured this week, as well as some of the video that you saw here on the show. We also must thank our own Louisiana Farm Bureau staff for their help before, during, and after the convention, especially you, Cindy Gassey. We owe you so much.
And finally, we want to thank more than 200 Louisiana farmers, ranchers, and volunteer leaders who made Louisiana the epicenter of agriculture to start off 2019. That does it for this edition of Twila. We'll be back next week from our studio in Baton Rouge.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
For all of us here at Twila, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.